No basketball was played yesterday, so instead what I want to talk about Tracy McGrady. And I know you're asking yourself, why the hell do you want to talk about Tracy McGrady? He has nothing to do with anything that's going on in the playoffs right now. The reason I want to talk about Tracy McGrady is because I was getting into debates about Tracy McGrady yesterday. I was going to war for Tracy McGrady yesterday. So I feel like we got to revisit his career and just kind of correct some things, because a lot of people, they just simply weren't around for Tracy McGrady's career, so they kind of forgot how good of a basketball player he was. And this all started with a Bulls account tweeting out that if AJ DeBance's player comp is Tracy McGrady, then he's not interested because Tracy McGrady was not a transcendent talent. Absolute asinine tweet, crazy ass thing to say. I put it in the Discord. Shout out to my guy Guilty. He runs a great Discord. Put it in the Discord, and then it led into a whole debate about what kind of player Tracy McGrady was. And I kind of realized, man, T-Mac, he doesn't get his proper respect as an all-time great. I mean, it seems like people just look at what he didn't do in his career without contextualizing everything he had to go through in his career. And I also realized, too, T-Mac's a lot older than I realized. You know, time flies. His prime was about 20 years ago now. I believe the last All-NBA team that he made was 2007. So we're about 20 years removed from Tracy McGrady's peak. People forget a lot of shit in 20 years, and a lot of the people I'm debating with probably weren't around to really appreciate what he was doing back then. But let's start at the beginning with T-Mac. Let's start with those Raptor days, because there's this weird storyline that he left he left Vince Carter because he wanted to be the alpha, and that's not really what happened. Like, the Raptors deserve a ton of flack for allowing T-Mac to leave. It was only his third season. They had his bird rights. They could have matched any contract offer that he got. They chose not to. They chose to let him go to the Orlando Magic. And when he went to the Orlando Magic, he wasn't going there with the intention of being the guy. If he was going somewhere with the intention of, I want to take as many shots as possible, I want to be the man, he'd have chose the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls were pursuing him heavy that offseason. He didn't do that. He went to the Magic because he wanted to be a sidekick to Grant Hill. Grant Hill, at the time, top 5 player in the NBA, entering his peak. Him and T-Mac together, it would have been the closest thing we'd seen to Jordan and Pippen since Jordan and Pippen. They would have been perfect together. It's one of the greatest what-if stories in NBA history. So T-Mac, he goes there. He's going to get an expanded role. He's going to get more shots than he would have in Toronto, but he wasn't going there strictly with the idea of, this is my team, I need to get my bread, I need to get my shots. He wasn't going there with selfish intentions. He was going there to team up with Grant Hill. There's even rumors that Tim Duncan was thinking of joining too, which that would have just been an absolutely bonkers team. But he leaves Toronto, goes to Orlando. Grant Hill, he's never the same. You know, he has all the foot problems. His career is drastically altered. Goes from being a top 5 player in the league to, you know, just basically a role player. And T-Mac, he has to fight with dog shit rosters for his entire Orlando Magic career. That was one point that people kept bringing up to me when they were trying to dog T-Mac. So like, well, he blew a 3-1 lead. I'm like, go look at that series, man. He was playing the Detroit Pistons, a team that had Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, Richard Hamilton, Mehmet Okur, Cliff Robinson. That was a loaded roster. That was the bones of a roster that would win a championship just a year later. All they were missing was Rasheed Wallace. It's fucking amazing that T-Mac won 3 games against that roster, period. His second best player, the guy who was second on the team in minutes, second on the team in shots that series, a guy named Gordon Gierczak. I guarantee you 90% of you have never heard of Gordon Gierczak. He did not have a remotely memorable NBA career. That was T-Mac's second best player. They had Darrell Armstrong getting like 30 minutes a game for them. You know, fat Sean Kemp, 700-pound, coked out Sean Kemp was on that team. He had no help. For him to win 3 games against that team, that speaks to the greatness that Tracy McGrady had. There's not too many players that you put them on that team in that situation against that Pistons team. There's not too many players that are able to win 3 games against them. So don't use that series to dog T-Mac out at all. And keep in mind, in Game 6, he had 38 points. He was doing everything that he could to try to win that series. It was just a great Pistons team that he was facing. So his Magic career, you know, it doesn't go the way that he intended it to because of Grant Hill. He eventually gets traded for Steve Francis, goes to Houston. That's another one where people look at the failures of the Houston Rockets and they place the blame on Tracy McGrady, when in reality, man, he was just cursed. Like, him and Yao, they were a great pairing together. The way that Yao could draw the attention in the low post and kind of free up the perimeter for T-Mac. And T-Mac would do vice versa. He would draw the defense's attention, and that would allow Yao to cook in the low post a little bit more. You know, it was the perfect theoretical pairing. They just had the worst injury luck ever. Whenever T-Mac was healthy, Yao was hurt. Whenever Yao was healthy, T-Mac was hurt. They just could never get on the same page. Not to mention, they were playing in a really tough Western Conference. That's the Tim Duncan era. That's, you know, the Dirk Nowitzki, his Mavs teams back then. They're winning 60 games. Like, the West was always loaded, especially in that era. So holding any of that against T-Mac, like, people just discount how cursed Tracy McGrady's career was, because you look at every step that he goes. From Toronto not wanting to pay him. If they had chose to pay him, they would have had him and Vince Carter together. That could have been a hell of a duo. To go into Orlando and, you know, Grant Hill's career going down the tubes. To go into Houston and then his body breaks down. And whenever his body wasn't breaking down, Yao Ming's body was breaking down. It's just one of the most cursed careers that we've ever seen. But you look at it, man, he had basically an 8-year prime. In those 8 years, 7-time All-NBA, 2-time scoring champion. For my money, man, Tracy McGrady is one of the most disrespected superstars of all time. One of the best players I've ever seen. One of the most talented players I've ever seen. He's for sure the smoothest bucket that I've ever seen. So for all you guys who like to throw what Tracy McGrady didn't do in his career to try to tear him down, I beg you, go revisit the tapes. I promise you, it will change your opinion. And the main thing that changes my opinion with T-Mac is we live in an era of player pods and ex-players going out giving hot takes. You will never see an ex-player, at least I've never seen an ex-player go on a podcast or go on any kind of show and dog out Tracy McGrady. I've never heard ex-players say he was a loser. I've never heard them say that he was overrated. All you hear from them is T-Mac was cold. He was Kobe's biggest rival. He was the closest thing to challenging Kobe that we had in that era. He's disrespected. It wasn't his fault that he was on bad teams. Like, every one of his peers who played against him will tell you he's one of the most talented players of all time. That means something to me, man.